They came mustachioed and by the busload. They came in cars and they came on foot to Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. They came to see a team from the old AFL and a team from the old NFL lock horns in a battle for the first American Football Conference championship ever. The Baltimore Colts, with the best record in the American Football Conference, were the home team. Their opponents were those purveyors of magic and miracles, the Oakland Raiders. At stake was a game the Raiders had failed to win for the previous 2 years. And though there was snow in Baltimore, the winner of this game would soon be winging south to the land of enchantment and big money. For the winner of this one, there would be only one more hill to climb. But just getting to that hill would be a struggle, as both Coach Don McCafferty of the Colts and Coach John Madden of the Raiders knew well. John Madden is lucky in that he has a brace of fine quarterbacks in Darryl LaMonica, number 3, and the old man of the miracle, George Blanda, number 16. On the other hand, Don McCafferty relies on one player to run his team. That player, of course, is John Unitas. Number 19 has been praised, honored, and eulogized. He is a man about whom it's all been said. He's a man about whom it's all true. Both the Raiders and the Colts had previously played in the Super Bowl. Neither had won. So a win in this game would give them a shot at vengeance, another shot at the big one. I'm Pat Summerall, and this is the NFL Game of the Week. As the first period began, John Unitas showed definite hawk-like tendencies as he went right to the bomb. But his throw to a wide-open Eddie Hinton was just a little too strong. The quick, early bomb is usually a Raider trademark. But as we can see on the replay, they weren't expecting anyone to use it against them. Undaunted by failure, Unitas revved up and whipped another rocket downfield. But it, too, met with trouble in the person of Oakland cornerback Kent McCloughan, number 47. On the replay, notice that the Raider deep men were again caught unaware by the sneak bombing runs, and McCloughan just recovered in time to save a touchdown. Satisfied that he now had the Oakland secondary scared into remaining honest for a while, Unitas began to pick away at the middle areas. At the same time, he established his rushing game on the battering charges of Tom Nowatzki, number 34, and rookie line wrecker Norm Bulash, number 36. And when things got tough, Unitas went after the first down on his own and got it. But when he had driven the Colts to the Raider 4, he ran into trouble. With 3rd and goal, Tony Klein, number 84, crashed in and decked him. The replay shows that Unitas wasn't the only one who got decked. On the left, number 34, Nowatzki also took a good shot before Unitas was finally crumpled and the Colts' drive ended. However, Baltimore did salvage something when Jim O'Brien's field goal was good. 3 points is better than nothing, and nothing was what Darryl LaMonica was giving the Raiders, as they could manage only 8 plays to the Colts' 25 in the first quarter. The difference was that the Colts had a hot hand at the controls. On the last play of the quarter, Unitas moved to the Raider 25 on a pass to number 27, Ray Perkins. As the period ended, the Bay Area Bombers found themselves in trouble. Not only were they on the short end of a 3-0 score, but they were about to find themselves besieged by an enemy who had stolen their own most potent weapon. As the second quarter began, John Unitas came on again like something out of 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. This time he was right on target, but target Eddie Hinton couldn't hang on. A replay shows just how close this one came, and it left you with the feeling that sooner or later, one of those bombs was going to explode and blow the Raiders all the way back to Oakland. After Hinton's miss, the Raiders finally got their ground attack going, with number 35, Hewritt Dixon, going on a one-man rampage. But just as his ground game was clicking, LaMonica tried to sneak a quick one past the Colts. However, his pass to number 25, Fred Biletnikoff, was overthrown. Unfortunately, LaMonica soon paid for his duplicity as number 78, Bubba Smith, came avalanching in and slammed the Oakland signal caller to the ground. Bubba had done as he was told. On the replay, we'll see just how well. For Darryl LaMonica, this was the last play of the season. For in trying to avoid the mountain that charges like a man, LaMonica severely pulled a groin muscle and had to leave the game. The Colts took over, and number 19 kept the Raiders' secondary running. Number 24, Willie Brown, thought he should have had this third down pass. He probably felt even worse when he saw what followed. Baltimore punted, and the Raiders' George Atkinson, number 43, made the only fumble of the game on his own 45, where the Colts recovered. The fumble recovery was all the fuse John Unitas needed to set off a detonation. On the play-action pass, he sent the ball downrange to Eddie Hinton, who was brought down on the Oakland 2. On the replay, we can see that once again it was the Raiders' own weapon that killed them. Eddie Hinton was wide open and wind sprinting past the Oakland defenders. From there, it was a matter of handing it to the man of concrete, number 36, Norm Bulash. Colts 10, Raiders nothing. Now it was up to Oakland's old head. George Blanda had warmed up before the game by kicking field goals. But it was his arm that was needed now, and unfortunately, it had not been cranked up. His passes just didn't have enough on them. And unbelievable as it seems, 3 of football's best receivers, Fred Biletnikoff, Warren Wells, and Raymond Chester, went the entire first half of the game without one completion among them. And Oakland, with pro football's leading offense, had a total of 9 yards passing in the first half. The Raiders got a break when they were forced to kick, and punter Mike Eyeshide was hit while vulnerable. The play gave Oakland a first down on Baltimore's 40-yard line. But the Raiders could not advance it, and George Blanda was forced to kick a 48-yard field goal. And although his defense got the ball right back for him, Blanda's miracles were few and far between in this half. This interception by safety Jerry Logan, number 20, gave the Colts the chance to try for one more score before time ran out in the half. When Baltimore's drive ran into trouble, they were forced to go for another field goal. Although Jim O'Brien's attempt was no good, the Raiders were not relieved. As they headed for the dressing room, they had been outscored 10-3, outplayed convincingly. And dressed in their black jackets, the Oakland Raiders looked as though they were on their way to someone's funeral. In the second half, there was plenty of time to find out whether George Blanda could save another game for the Raiders, or whether the inspired Colts would come apart under the mounting pressure of a championship game. The Colt defense started out by putting Blanda in a hole as number 83, right linebacker Ted Hendricks, shot in untouched. On third down, with long yardage needed, Blanda found Warren Wells for the first time in the game, and the elusive Wells juked his way to a first down. On the next play, Blanda was bombed by number 85, Roy Hilton, but not before he got off a bomb of his own to Fred Biletnikoff. In reviewing Biletnikoff's game-tying touchdown from the end zone camera, we can see the play-action fake to Dixon, which momentarily froze the Colt defense, the rush by Hilton, and defender Charlie Stukes as he fell down in his attempt to recover. On the Colts' first play following Biletnikoff's touchdown, John Unitas passed to Eddie Hinton, who somehow got 30 spectacular yards out of the play. On third down, Unitas again went for Hinton, who made another clutch catch for 17 more of his 115 yards for the day. But for the third time in the game, an easy Colt touchdown got away as a perfect pass dropped directly between the hands of Roy Jefferson. Jim O'Brien's second field goal untied the score at 13-10. Only 3 points behind, Blanda tried to get his ground game moving again, but the tenacious Colt defense would not allow more than a grudging 2 or 3 yards at a crack, and the Raiders were forced to give up the ball. When John Unitas got the ball again, he immediately started to drive for more points and more breathing room. This time, receiver Roy Jefferson, number 87, hung on tight with both hands. Another pass to Jefferson, again from behind perfect protection, and Baltimore was at the Oakland 11. From the 11, Unitas reached deep into his bag of tricks and came up with the old Statue of Liberty with Norm Boulash carrying, and everyone blocking about as well as a team can block. Oh, to be a rookie scoring his second touchdown in a championship game. After nearly 3/4 of play, Baltimore led 20-10. Trailing by 10 points with just over 1/4 to play, Blanda took pro football's top-ranked offense back to the air. With 3 of the AFC's top 9 receivers to choose from, Blanda finally found tight end Raymond Chester for the first time, and the tough rookie accounted for 35 tough yards. On the first play of the 4th quarter, the oldest player in football deftly faked a handoff to Charlie Smith and then faded back and threw long for Warren Wells. The 37-yard play took the Raiders to the Colt 11, and after 2 plays lost yardage, Blanda on 3rd and 14 again found Wells, this time for a touchdown. Despite the Colts' protestations, in checking the end zone replay, we can see that Wells did have possession as he crossed the goal line. With more than 13 minutes still to play, Oakland trailed by only 3. When John Unitas got the ball again, he wanted to open up the Baltimore lead by opening up the passing game again. But he found his receivers covered and was forced to run right into Big Ben Davidson's left foot. Third and 11 from the Colt 32, and it looked for a moment as though the Baltimore attack might be finished for the day. But true to his legendary reputation, on the next play, Unitas called a pass pattern with 4 wide receivers going deep. And one of them, Ray Perkins, left cornerback Demiah Wilson, number 26, biting the dust in his wake. Suddenly, the Colts had regained their 10-point lead at 27-17. But as everyone knows, the Oakland Raiders are never out of it as long as Old George is still around. And Old George still had 12 minutes to work his magic. A draw play to Charlie Smith covered 20 yards, the longest run of the day. George's magic even included some scrambling on his 43-year-old legs, but no more than necessary to find an open receiver like Fred Biletnikoff. George's magic more usually consisted of a device commonly known as the drop-back pass. And when properly executed, the drop-back pass results in a ballistically perfect bullet into the hands of a receiver like Fred Biletnikoff. In all, Biletnikoff caught 5 passes from Blanda, who also completed 5 to his other wide receiver, Warren Wells. In his 8th championship game, Old George completed more passes for more yardage and more touchdowns than the younger fellow, Unitas. Pretty sprightly for a guy who was playing pro football when Unitas was a sophomore in high school. But the Colts were not awed by the old man and his magic. 4 times they made him pay for the price of glory. Number 85, right defensive end Roy Hilton, and number 78, left defensive end Bubba Smith, each found the quarterback twice. The man who at one point in the season had saved the Raiders 5 successive times had run out of miracles, and in the end his receivers were left desperately clutching at the wind. Twice in the 4th quarter, Baltimore stopped Blanda and the Raiders with interceptions deep in Colt territory. The famous Baltimore deep zone defense had done it again. Fittingly, the Colts' 3rd and final interception was by linebacker Ray May, 35 yards downfield. In Baltimore's Dirt Bowl, the Colts had defeated pro football's #1 offense and its miracle man. They had defeated a team which had won 4 consecutive division titles, a team whose record over the last 4 years is the best in pro football. And so the Colts were in the Super Bowl again, but a very different team this time. They had a new head coach and longtime assistant Don McCafferty. And though all-time All-NFL quarterback John Unitas was there before, this time he was starting instead of recuperating. And he was once again operating the highest-scoring offense in the conference. And with him were 2 new conference-leading kick returners, a new place kicker, a new pair of running backs, and a new pair of flashy wide receivers. And on defense, there was a new set of linebackers and a new pair of cornerbacks. And all of them were part of the newly aligned American Football Conference. And in their first year there, they had made the best record in the conference. And this despite a humiliating defeat by Kansas City on national television in the season's 2nd week, after which most of the country had counted them out. Once one of the strongest members of the old National Football League, and now the standard bearer for the new American Football Conference, the Colts, as much as any other team, represent all of pro football. It is only fitting that they should be the first to represent both sides in the Super Bowl.